Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This is the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. This evening I want to speak about the ignorant among us glorifying and reinforcing negative stereotypes. Knowingly, in 1989, the prison industrial complex and record labels had a meeting. And at that time, hip hop was very intricate, and hip hop was a music genre that was teaching our children self-pride. Not the type of pride that we see today, that the word pride was hijacked, yet it was self-pride back in 1989 with Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubian, Boogie Down Productions, Rakim, and others like Alakim Shabazz and people like that. These artists were teaching our people knowledge of self, and it wasn't some drug-induced, gang violence-induced type of hip hop. Now, I don't have a problem with anyone's lyrics who's teaching reality, whether it's the reality of the streets or, any other type of reality. Yet, today, we have not necessarily hip hop artists, them too, but we have Negroes who would stand in front of our open and consistent enemy and glorify and reinforce negative stereotypes. Now, every time something happens in Chicago or somewhere else, every time we make an attempt to hold our enemy accountable, whether it's regular white folks or it's police who just happen to be a Caucasian, they mistreat one of our people or worse, and we want to hold them accountable. The first thing they do is pull Chicago out their ass and act as if Chicago is the only place where violence and crime is being committed. They're not mentioning their neighborhoods, but they'll mention the neighborhoods where our people are at, knowing that crime is committed and victims are in proximity. Whoever you are around, that's who is likely to victimize you. Or if you're a criminal, you're going to victimize people who are around you. I don't care if it's the white neighborhood, the Asian neighborhood, the Hispanic neighborhood, or our neighborhood. People commit violence and are victim of violence in proximity. Now, the negative stereotypes is serving to our detriment. Like when our people, our young brothers, sag their pants. It used to be when I was growing up, you just would see the elastic in your underwear. Brothers would just sag that much that you seen the elastic in your underwear. And it seemed like the pants just got lower and lower and lower. And not knowing the origin of sagging dealt with that same meeting that I talked about with the prison industrial complex and the music labels. They took your belt from you in prison and in jail. They take your belt from you. If you don't have the one piece, your pants sagged unless you wore the pants tight. And you definitely don't want to wear the pants tight in prison. So the men's pants sagged. And they took and married through the meeting the prison industrial complex with hip hop. They took gangsterism and they married it to hip hop. They took all types of negative stereotypes and they married it to hip hop. Now, I don't like when someone take negative stereotypes and make it synonymous to being someone who would stand and act on our behalf, being pro-Black, if you would. Because being pro-Black is not a stereotype and it's not a physical look. Being pro-Black is one of us who will stand and act on our people's behalf. Being pro-Black is caring and doing for your people exclusively or first, not hindering someone else, of progress or hating someone or wanting harm to come to someone. Being pro-Black is standing and acting on behalf of your people exclusively, or you can say putting your people first. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with putting our people first. Now, I'm going to show a video of an outright detriment to our people. Now, this fool, Brandon Tatum, is speaking to an audience of probably 95% white people. And he's trying to convince them through stereotypes that he used to be pro-Black. This fool's been running around behaving ignorant for quite a few years. And he's saying these things to people who don't know better.
But I'm so blessed to be here. This is such a great opportunity for us. These messages are something that we need to hear, that we need to internalize. This is our time to shine in America. And my journey started from a very humble beginning. I grew up in a diverse neighborhood. And I can say diversity of thoughts, diversity of action, maybe not diversity of color. And it was very trying for me, but it built me to be who I am today. I'm gonna say this: God has had a tremendous part and making me who I am. And I know I'm here to talk about policing, and I'm gonna get to that, but I wanna focus first on God, because I believe that the Black community and a lot of communities around the country have lost track of our faithfulness and understanding of the one true God.
Now, if nobody on this planet have God, it's our people. We have too much God in the sense that he's talking about. Now, he's going to go into a rant on how he used to be and God changed him to be the Negro and fool that he is right now, today.
And the reason why I want to show God some love is because I used to walk around Fort Worth, Texas, with my pants sagging, gold teeth in my mouth. Y'all probably don't believe me, but it happened. Some of y'all know. Gold teeth in my mouth. I got Young Savage tattooed across my stomach. I got tats on my forearm. I had a bad attitude. Nobody could tell me nothing or we'll fight. But it took the power of God to deliver me. It took the drawing from God to take me to church. And when I got to church, God showed himself to me. And
God showed himself to him. So this is, in all actuality, white worshiping. White worshiping. If he could say, he's going to get into it. If he can say, because he had a tattoo on his stomach and tattoos on his arms, gold teeth, sagging his pants, wearing a do-rag, making that synonymous to being pro-Black, he don't even know what pro-Black is or being pro-Black is.
I was saved. I was baptized in Jesus' name, and I was filled with God's Spirit. And you know what that did for me? That changed my perception and how I looked at everybody else. Because I grew up in a neighborhood where we felt like white people didn't like us. I'm keeping it 100. We felt like white people didn't like us. Everybody around me was Black. Everything that we thought about came from a Black perspective. And I went to college, and it started to break up some of that ground in me of feeling that level of hatred.
This Negro have never had hatred in his heart for our open and consistent enemy. See, what he's doing is pandering. He quit his job at the Tucson, Arizona Police Department to do what he's doing right now. Pandering, trying to be a wannabe honorary white supremacist and pandering to white folks.
But when God touched me, I started to look at people as everyone in this building and everyone that I see as being God's children. And that helped me go on the path of understanding our purpose together. It helped me understand slavery and understand all of the things that happen in this country.
Made him understand slavery. More than likely, in this Negro's case, made him understand slavery and justify slavery. What a silly Negro.
Country that we have been working hard together to accomplish. I don't believe in a pro-Black agenda, a pro-white.
Why wouldn't you believe in a pro-Black agenda? Pro-Black don't mean that you don't do business with someone else, you don't care about someone else, or you hinder someone else. Pro-Black only means that your people come first. That's all. Not hindering someone else, not hating someone else. It's just that when it all boils down to it, It's all about your people.
White agenda. I believe in a pro-American agenda and a God's children's agenda. And I'll say this, and I'm gonna throw this out here, then I'll get to police brutality. Just bear with me. I do not believe in the concept of white privilege. And let me tell you what I do believe in. I believe in the concept of Christ privilege. And I'm gonna tell you this.
Pandering 101. There's so many examples, factual examples that we can hear and see of white privilege being practiced. If it's not white privilege being practiced all over the United States and the world, white people wouldn't feel like that they could weaponize the police or weaponize positions. If they know they can do that, they know that they have white privilege. This Negro is crazy.
Not one person that walk in and out this door that it gets elected to president, not one person can control my destiny but God. Not one person. So I encourage young brothers all the time when I talk to them, I encourage them. Don't let these people lie to you. Don't let people be fake to you. What happened to us being strong? What happened to us holding up the mantle? This is what my dad told me. Listen, if I go apply for a job and they don't hire me, I'm going to apply for every job on the block. And I tell you what, when I get the job, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to build the business and I'm going to put the other business at a commission. That's how you operate. I came from a background of a strong father.
This is a man who hates his mother to the point there's a video which I'm going to play, not today. This is a man who actually slapped his mother, put his hands on his own mother, the woman who birthed him, the woman who risked dying to bring his punk ass into the world, and he would justify a reason for putting his hands on his own mother.
I had my daddy in my life. My mom and daddy broke up, but my daddy was there. He was there with that belt too. I'll never forget that. But he was there. My dad wouldn't let me make excuses. What do you mean? What do you mean you're late to school? You better go earlier. What do you mean you had 2 flat tires? You better leave earlier, bring some flats with you. But that's the power of male influence in our community.
I had my daddy too, so you're not saying nothing slick.
And don't get me wrong, my mama was great. We need our mamas. But young men in our country are seeking love and a connection with the man. And these young brothers need their fathers. I would not be here without my dad. I would not be here without it.
You would not be here without your mother. A woman can't be a mother without the agent of a man. But you would not be here without your mother. If she didn't carry you and birth you, you wouldn't be here without your mother.
My father didn't have to tell me a lot of stuff. I saw who he was. I saw what he represented on a day-to-day basis. It gave me an example of how to be a man, how to be strong. My father don't make excuses. He started on the fire department when he was 18 years old. 31 years retired. I remember when he first started, he used to always tell me this. He said, Brandon, there was some racial tension on the department. Black folks would stick together, the white folks would be in their own group. And he said, but I always treated people fair. And when they would come at me and they would treat me unfairly, I would, in my mind, he said he would never disrespect people. He said, I made it up in my mind that I'm gonna work hard, and those people who talk and treat me that way will be working for me one day. And as God is my witness, my dad made it to the top. He retired as a battalion chief, and now he is the chief of an entire fire department out there in Texas. Now let's get to police brutality. Let's get to police brutality because this is my spot. This is my sweet spot here. Because I was a police officer, and how I became a police officer is because I needed to step up because I had a young child. I needed to step up as a man because football wasn't working out for me. And I said, I'm going to do what it takes to make a solid foundation for my child. And I had never thought about being a police officer, but I applied for everything in the city of Tucson. And I said, my God, you going to help me get me a job, and we're going to work from there. And the funny story is, me and my son's mom, we had an argument the night before this phone call. She's talking on the phone. I don't know what we were arguing about. I wake up the next day and I get a phone call from the Tucson Police Department. And I'm like, she done called the police on me. She's trying to send your boy to jail.
And guess what race it is? Guess what race it is? If he would think that. Take a wild guess.
But so I answer the phone. I say, hello. They said, this is Tucson Police Department. I'm like, how can I help you? They say, Mr. Tatum, you applied for the job. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I can deal with this. But what I did was I said, I have to find out, how am I going to do this? I've never even known a police officer. I did a ride-along, which I encourage anybody in here to do a ride-along. I did a ride-along with Officer Sean Payne. For the first time in my life, and this is the honest to God truth, for the first time in my life, I saw a hero. I used to think those football players were heroes. Y'all can give that a round of applause. Nothing against athletes. Nothing against athletes. They work hard. I was an athlete myself.
Nah, he's kind of salty because he didn't cut it on a professional level. He played college football, but he didn't cut it as a professional. So he's going to downgrade, the athletes and put the police on top of them. Neither one of them deserves such an accolade as a hero anyway, because the police are more interesting than they're more interested in officer safety. But when it comes to the citizen safety, their main objective is to get home. So he said for the first time he's seen a hero when he did it right along. I don't know if it's snapback or fitted, but he's capping.
But I saw a man go from changing a flat tire, it was an elderly lady, she had to get a flat tire changed, to going lights and sirens, 80 miles per hour down the roadway.
Salute to my brothers, Metal Face Doom and Bronze Flat Power God.
Move to the right,
Salute.
Don't look, don't turn around, don't text, move to the right. And we were going through the lights, we were flying. When we got to the location, they kicked the door in, and then once they went in, they let me kind of go in behind them. And I saw a kid in the back room cutting his wrist. He was cutting his wrist. I could see him. And Sean Payne saved that kid. He saved that kid's life. And I remember getting back in the car because he had been talking to me about my family before we went on the call. Just like
this Negro got that story from a Lifetime movie network. Negro, please.
Yeah, we were on that call. And we get back in the car. He said, Brandon, what were you saying about your mama? And I was like this. What mama? I don't know. I had a mama. And I couldn't believe it. And I said, hey, you do this every day? And y'all mind me, I was only a half a shift. I was only a half a day. I said, you do this every day? Oh, yeah, I do this every single day. And from that point on, I said, God, I got to do this. This is a calling for me. I need to save and represent my community. And that's what I did.
So why did you quit after 5-6 years if you wanted to save your community? You quit the Tucson Police Department as a patrolman after 5-6 years.
With my life, I put all of my dreams aside. I put my son, everything, I put it all aside when I put the uniform on. I was willing to go out and die for people in the community. I was willing to die.
That's a lie, because the police are not willing to die. They are more willing to kill than die, because they do that more than anything. Whenever people are pulled over and a gun is drawn on an unarmed man or woman at a traffic stop, they are more willing to do harm and kill people than save people. A weapon is in the equation of a traffic stop. I don't care what it is, a taser or a pistol, over a traffic stop, over someone mouthing them off or being non-compliant to unlawful requests and orders. And this fool want us to believe that he and everybody else that was on a police department are heroes or are willing to die. No, they're more willing to kill than die.
And I'll say this. This is why this touched me so much. It's because I hate the way they're painting the picture of law enforcement in America. It is disgraceful because
no one's painting the picture of law enforcement. The police department are painting their own picture on how they look and are portrayed. It's a damn selfie that they're taking. They just don't like how they look in the damn selfie.
Only element, and I know this firsthand. I went to the cars. I go to my mom and them house when they get burglarized. I go pick up the child off the ground and put him in the body bag when he got shot to death. I remember the effort and energy we put into these communities. And so in the hood, in these neighborhoods, run by all these Democrats, destroying the neighborhoods, who is there to protect?
Now, here he's going to attempt to distinguish a Democrat from a Republican when a Democrat is a backstabber and a Republican is a stabber, but they stab you in the chest. But you are still stabbed. The left wing and the right wing are two wings on the same unclean and hateful bird flying in the same direction. They pretend that they disagree, but one thing they do agree with, they agree when it comes to us. And this dude is talking to a predominantly white audience, and he's feeding them foolishness, and they're buying it hook, line, and sinker. This is nothing but pandering.
Protect when nobody else will. Who is there to be brave when nobody else will?
Firemen are braver than police officers. Way braver than police officers. Now, look at the police shootings. The mass shootings in schools. They're scared to go in. The ones that's not a psyops, they're scared to go in them. Those schools. The ones that's not staged. The real ones, they're scared to go in. So this is real. Somebody shooting in that school for real. I'm not going in there. He's a liar.
When nobody want to snitch. You feel me? When nobody want to snitch.
Here he is talking to these people about the hood. Most of them never been in the hood. They heard things about the hood. He want people to think that he's hood and going to school them on what goes on in the hood. Again, he claimed that he was pro-black once. There's no way you could ever have been pro-black and turn out to be the way he is now. If he said he was pro-black, why isn't he telling the people what he did that will be considered pro-black besides reinforcing and glorifying negative stereotypes of our people? It's the only thing he did when he said he used to be pro-black. He said that he used to sag his pants wear gold chains, got tattoos and gold teeth. And he said he was pro-black when he was doing that. No, you wasn't, because I'm pro-black. And I never sagged my pants. I had tattoos. I wore gold teeth. I wore gold chains. I never sagged my pants, but I wore gold teeth. Rarely. Never sagged my pants. I wear jewelry. I have tattoos. But that didn't make me pro-black. I got tattoos later in life. I was damn near 40 before I got my first tattoo.
Since they don't want to cooperate, they're killing each other every day. The men and women who put on that uniform and still go do that every single day, even if facing them going to prison for something that they didn't even do wrong.
Peace to my brother, the Tad Show.
They still go out and work. And I can't stand when they lie to us.
Peace to Big Dog Philly OG.
When they tell a young brother that you should be afraid of police walking out the door, they say if you walk down the street, they're going to just shoot you up for no reason. If they create that fear, they built a wedge that they can market, that they can continue to cycle through so they can get you to vote for them. Them young brothers who are afraid of police, do you think you're going to cooperate with the police? If you see a crime, you think you're going to talk to the police? No. When the application process come out, do you think you're going to apply for the police department? No, you won't. Now, the problem with that is that if you cooperate with police in your community, you can save your community. The people who are selling dope on the corner won't sell dope on the corner no more.
But what about the lobbyists who are against drugs? What about the legislators and the lawmakers who lobby against drugs, who do more drugs and sell more drugs than anybody? Now he going real low level with this bullshit when none of our people own boats or airplanes, or not even 18-wheelers to transport that shit. He going real low level with this shit. No, nigga, you dig? Now you using branch knowledge now. This is branch knowledge. Get to the damn root, which is the people you're talking to, them Caucasians. They're the root of it.
The people who are murdering will go to jail for their crimes. Justice will be served for the people in the community. And when you apply for the police department and you become a police officer, you can then adequately serve your own community the best way you know how.
Peace to Super Sense, day one.
And they create these environments that are residually destroying the community. And it makes me sick to my stomach. And I just want to deliver to you guys. And I know a lot of y'all support the police department. Y'all support police officers. But we have to consistently support the police officers and support other young people and tell our children the truth about law enforcement. And we have to be educated. Understand laws. Understand protocol. Understand use of force. Understand what a police officer can and cannot do to you. Because it is counterproductive if you're on a traffic stop and you don't even know your rights. And you listen to some fool on television telling you don't roll your window down this much. Now you've created an environment of violence.
If the police are pulling you over unlawfully and they're asking you questions you don't have to answer, this nitwit will tell you to comply. If they are giving you unlawful requests and orders, he will tell you to just comply. But he don't tell Caucasians who pull guns on cops, stab cops in the neck, and go back and forth with the cops, cussing them out. He don't think it's nothing wrong with what they do. But he want us to be straight up capitulating punk ass Negroes and just comply when the cops ask us to do something that's unlawful. If the police pull you over, the very first thing they're supposed to do is identify themselves and tell you why they pulled you over. If they can't do that, they can't give you reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime, He's supposed to leave you alone, but he'll tell you to comply.
And then you get beat up and jumped, and you're like, oh, police brutality. No, they're within their rights to remove you from a car. We have to.
So he's justifying the police beating somebody up because the person is not complying after being pulled over unjustly.
Tell young people that we have to stand up. And I'm gonna give an example of standing up real quick. Hopefully y'all can give me an estimate on my time, because I'll talk all day. But me and my boy Joe Patrick were in Waffle House. This is about standing strong.
Peace to Michael Phoenix.
Me and Joe Patrick was in the Waffle House. We had our Make America Great Again hats on. And y'all should have seen how they were looking at us, boy. They wanted to eat us alive. And in my mind, I'm like, well, bring it on, man. But we were sitting there, and they were staring us down. And what it made me think about was back in the civil rights times, right? When they would go to the county, they just...
This nigga don't know nothing about civil rights, the civil rights time. He was born in the 1980s.
We were doing the same thing, but because they disagreed with us, because some of them are ignorant, they gave us these dirty looks. Like they didn't even want it. The server was nice, but the other people act like they didn't want us to be there. I saw brothers looking at us like, oh, like y'all sell out. I can almost feel them saying that we sell out. But you know why I kept my head?
You are a sellout. You're a sellout.
No, because we had a conversation in the car, like, hey man, do you want to take these hats off? I don't want nobody spitting my food. And at Waffle House, you can see them cooking food. So they spit in my food. That's gonna be a bad day for Waffle House. But I said, you know what? We have to remain strong. We have to stand up for what we believe. Because if we don't, they're gonna just push us right over. I said, I'm gonna go in this place and I'm gonna wear my hat because that's my right. I can believe what I want to. And if they don't want me in there, I'll just go somewhere else to eat. But I'm not gonna be afraid to stand up for what I believe. And I encourage, as I close, I encourage every single person under the sound of my voice to stand up for what you believe. These liberals want to scare you into cowering. They want to scare you to not come to this event.
Here we go with the politics. No politicians, absolutely not one single solitary politician are worthy of wiping your backside with. I wouldn't wipe my ass with a politician, Democrat or Republican.
They want to scare us for not supporting one another. They want to paint you as a racist, you as a coon, a sellout. But we have to remain strong. And I say this in every speech because I feel like God put it on my heart. No matter what happens, no matter what it looks like, in the end of all of this, we're going to win. I don't know how you feel, but I'm a person of faith. I believe that God has already written the script that at the end of all of this, if we have faith and we stay strong, we will come out victorious because we're on the right side of the situation. God bless you.
This Negro has lost his damn mind. Speaking to all those Caucasian people, he was there pandering them, giving them 15 minutes of feel good. But he think that he has risen above the condition of his people. And he think those people respect him because he goes against his own people for them. They don't respect him, but they'll use him. He's usable, but they don't respect him. And he need to realize that he's only a tool. He's merely a tool. And white supremacists, they break their tools when they're done with them. He's not going to be an old tool in the shed collecting dust. He will not be that. They break their tools when they're done with them. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.
Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This is the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.